AI for us is the most effective tool to take 3 steps forward fast instead of 1. There's a potential step change in evolution itself that will happen born from AI. This is a world of 0 clicks. I never leave my search results because everything is served to me in that environment.
We don't need to go into the site and do the investigation. And that's same when I'm doing research. I don't even go to Google anymore. I go to chat.
They came left field and just changed the game for everyone. Social is where we go to waste time. LinkedIn is where we go to invest time.
Showing up in these more human ways with the right relevant content, the things that are speaking to the needs of your audience, got to almost be back to basics, create cool, differentiating, fun, human content that's going to help capture attention.
Helping a number of clients in different ways. The potential of AI right now, what tools are out there, what tools are worth using, and how they can leverage them safely. And it is phenomenal. AI is a prodigal infant.
How the fuck does my phone know what to serve me? But we all know that someone's listening.
Certainly, yes, they're listening.
Yeah.
Yes, they're watching.
Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Marketing in the Madness. And today, as always, I have a bloody brilliant guest for you all. And in fact, a guest that also used to work at the same place as me.
Yeah.
And now is a client of mine. So that's even better. So welcome, Lawrence. Lawrence joins us from Bright Blue Day, but I want you to give us a bit of an explanation as in to your journey, because you are now joint MD?
Yeah.
Yeah. So give us a bit of the potted history of Lawrence and how you are and where you are today, and a bit about Bright Blue Day as well.
I never knew agencies existed. When I was younger, I went straight client side, I suppose, with a really small company that started selling boys' toys. I'm going back a long way.
Oh, wow.
Palm Pilots, the Scion 5.
Yeah.
Like the original, the Nokia 9210 that used to open clamshell.
Yeah.
And it was just an online business, and he did very well. It was out of his garage. And I still know him today. He's phenomenal. They taught me business to start with. But one-man band, and just employed most of this family. And we had an agency do our website, and it was Redweb. And there were 18 of them. Dave Burton was there. And I walked in, and having worked with Chris and his family, who were just wonderful and adopted me, but they were all a lot older. And I went to an agency, and there were people wearing flip-flops and shorts and mucking around. There was a pool table. It was epic. And I was like, oh my God, I want to work here. This is just amazing. So I applied and got in sales. And it was the time when the website development had just kicked off in sort of a big way. And I remember we had productized, you could have a website for $5,000, $10,000 or $15,000, in-house CMS. And I loved it. I just hit agency and I thought, no, this is it. I loved the freedom. You got to I find everything interesting. So suddenly you're talking to another business and what they do is fascinating. And it didn't matter whether it was solar power, it was all small business, Broadview Blinds locally, it was all local businesses, but these people were doing amazing things. I was like, this is awesome. And I love tech. So websites is it. Spent a long time there. The business changed from 18 to 160 must have been. And as I realized it was too big for me, I was done. It was time to move on, but I was there a good 10 odd years, maybe longer. And we used to be in the same building as Bright Blue Day on Poole Quay. So I knew David and Jonathan, and I met them and said, yeah, I'm ready to jump. And went through a grueling interview process.
Really?
Yeah, it was quite full on.
Wow.
And eventually moved across into sales at Bright Blue Day, and everything was just different. And suddenly I went to an agency that did everything I'd never heard. I mean, they were original. Bright Blue Day's originally print, 60-year history. So people talked about Matt Lamb and soft touch and paperweight. I was like, what is this?
What is this stuff?
We're sending emails. Why is anyone worried about paper? This is dead, guys.
Yeah.
But they were phenomenal. And they'd pitch in a totally different way. It was, there'd be pitch rehearsals weeks before. What you wore, every word you said, every piece of creative was labored over, and it was a serious business. So it was a massive level up for me and terrifying. Thankfully, I kind of stopped doing sales. It's not my natural place. I moved into client services. We won some really great clients. The first one I brought in was Visa, and we brought them in tiny, doing small bits and bobs. And they grew to be a principal client, and they still are today. It's 15 years we've been working with them.
Wow.
Which is hard to retain a client.
That's
that scale,
amazing,
that long.
Lawrence.
Yeah. It's you can
15
never
years.
You can never expect it. And that's the thing. I think sometimes people have house accounts, they get lazy, the Z team get put on it, you'll lose them. But clients like Zurich that we work with, we've had them for 20 years. So, some predate me, and I've been here a long time. Moved into client services, picked up Visa, a few other big clients, slowly just worked my way through the ranks. I wouldn't say I'm ambitious, I'm just egotistical. So I wanted to be in charge.
Yeah.
And it took a while, but David and Jonathan got to the point where they were ready to step back from the business. And obviously they've been doing it for 30 years. So they were ready to go and enjoy fast cars and fancy holidays. And they decided to do an MBO. So myself and Jess, my business partner, threw our hats in the ring with the board and said, okay, we can do it. We had a 5-year MBO. So rocky start. Brexit was the first year.
I know. Yeah, timing.
Yeah. You're like, oh, okay. It wasn't cheap, but we're like, well, yeah, we can do it. We can do it. 5 years. There was a lot of documentation on what happens if we don't make it in 5 years. What happens if we don't make it in 10?
Yeah.
Because it was a really big ask.
Yeah.
And the agency had to step up quite a bit to achieve that. Brexit shook us, and that was kind of troubling. We work mostly pan-EU and global, so that was, okay, what's that going to do to the business and how is that going to change how we operate? Didn't have the impact, or at least the impact was very slow. Obviously, we work a lot in finance. We did see some clients literally shut up shop in London and move back to Paris or Amsterdam overnight. So there were some nerve-wracking moments. But then we had COVID.
I know. I mean, what a time to buy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was, just like everyone, it seems almost surreal now when you look back. That was 2 months of absolute terror. Thankfully, our clients, and I am very grateful for the clients that we had, the majority of them, it didn't touch them. The panic affected everyone, for sure. Nobody knew what to do. We'd never worked as an agency remote. It's impossible. You can't work remote as an agency. And you just had to do it overnight. And they did the same. So there were 2 months of sheer blind panic. And then we had, luckily, we had some of the best years we've ever had. Everything shifted into digital. All the budgets came that way. And all our clients were not impacted in the way that, financially, in the way that, holiday, travel, things like that were just decimated. So we made good time on the MBO, wrapped it up in the 5-year period, possibly could have done it in 4. And we're out the other side of it now.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And today, how many people are you here? We're actually in Lawrence's beautiful offices, for those of you watching. It's proper agency vibe.
Yeah.
So what, 50-ish?
Yeah, just under 50. Yeah. And
nice.
it's interesting from those days where you looked at when I first stepped into an agency and there was a pool table and flip-flops, I think our clients have caught up massively, even in financial services. They've got chill-out rooms and they've got swing chairs and stuff like that. They've tried to level up. There's something about an atmosphere of an agency, I think, that just you can't beat. Doesn't matter how many beanbags you put into a room.
Yeah.
An agency is buzzing and frenetic.
Businesses work very differently to agencies, and it's that energy, enthusiasm, chaos sometimes that we bring. Ideas, innovation, and that's what you guys do at Bright
You can't
Blue Day.
get stale, because you've got multiple bosses. It's not, your boss is the client that's shouting that moment or needing or needs you to step up and step in.
Yeah,
those are the ones that are driving you, and you never want to fail. And you can't fail when you've got client relationships that last 15, 20 years. You can't make a misstep. So it sort of drives that fevered breakdown moment. Just be creative, deliver, and get it done at all costs. And run fast or die trying.
Yeah, that is the key, though, isn't it? It's especially when you've got clients in different sectors with very different audiences, you've got to change hats, or wear different hats consistently and very quickly and effectively to come up with new ideas, try new things, be brave enough to try almost totally different things in some with some clients, totally different sectors, and also learn what you're doing in one sector that actually might work in a totally different one.
There's huge crossover. I suppose we don't work so much with FMCG. We do focus on B2B. And when I say B2B, everyone's been talking about B2P forever. But FMCG does so many things where they are talking to a human and about a product, about a thing they desire and they want. There's so much that translates into B2B. Knowing how to apply it is the skill. And also having the clients trust you to be brave enough to go, okay, yeah, we'll make that change. We'll do that thing. It's a challenge.
It is a challenge, especially I think now. So you've talked about, Brexit, We then had a global pandemic where we were all locked at home. Now we're kind of coming out of that. I actually had an interesting call with my accountant this morning. We're coming out of that, but I do think the overhang from COVID is hitting businesses now. Last year, budgets were pulled for every single business that we work with, and we work with some really big brands and their clients, especially actually in the world of retail, but I'm sure you're seeing the same in financial services, which I know you guys do a lot in. Budgets were pulled, people were anxious about spending, the big loans and the things that various different businesses had amidst COVID to keep them topped up were disappearing. Payments weren't coming in when they wanted. So many businesses last year had budgets pulled. Marketing teams at some of the biggest brands, businesses in the world had their marketing cut in half in terms of their budget. What I'm seeing now, hopefully, tell me if I'm wrong, is that things are actually starting to be released again. So Q4, so just to timestamp this for you guys, Q4 2024, we're recording this in September, so we're about to head into Q4. I personally do think that there's going to be budgets released again. There's going to be activity. People are getting confidence back in the market. I hope that means from a marketing perspective, things are going to come back to life. What are you guys seeing? What's working for your clients? If people want to, because I think that's the other thing is some brands are anxious. They may be looking for new agency partners, but they don't know who to go with. They don't know, we've had these budgets cut. We're now getting some money back, but we need to spend it carefully still. What kind of things would you be advising, because you're a bit like us, lead generation and results focused, which all marketing should be, let's be honest. So what do you think brands, businesses, marketers should be focused on as we get into Q4?
I think you're right. I think there was an overhang. It just took the wind out of everyone's sails, which wasn't helped by global slowdowns across the market. You had China not doing as well as America. The tech sector in America took an absolute beating last year. The resurgence of AI kind of almost artificially inflated the tech sector. Money was pouring in. It looked like good times, but we've still got clients out there that are struggling, that are laying off people. There's consolidations happening a lot. There's a lot of mergers happening to try and streamline and cost efficiency. I think in the UK, we had Brexit, was nothing in comparison to Truss. I think the political debacle, we wanted stability, whatever your political radar, it's fine, it's stable, and that's what we needed. That stability then brings investment. So I think in the UK, we've done better, probably than I thought we would, off the back of the election, with a bit of stability, which makes us more attractive from the US into Europe, because we lost that angle for a while. It was always US and UK, progressive in the same place roughly at the same time, and therefore an easy run into Europe. And that we lost in tech sector for a while, where things were just migrating into Europe, and it was no, we're going to go straight into Paris, we're going to go straight into Amsterdam. That sort of shifted back into us because there's stability back. So we are seeing budgets start to be released. They're still tight purse. They're still, and like you say, it's hang on, what's my ROI on this? This is my campaign spend. What am I getting? What's the output? What's the deliverable? What's the expectation for the performance campaign? Because I've got to justify this. It's slightly more aggressive. And I think there is a fear. That fear manifests itself in a couple of ways. One, it is, will you stay with the agency you've got? Because they know, the game, you know what you can model, you know what you can predict. It makes actually choosing another agency quite difficult. And being brave enough to go, no, it's time for a change. Yeah. So we're seeing the purse strings loosen a little. We're seeing the budget start to be released, but the expectation of what gets delivered for it, I think, has ramped up quite a bit.
So you guys do work on performance marketing. That is your kind of playground and what you're great at. If you're a business that is hopefully, edging towards that bravery coming into Q4, what would you suggest they do? I know that you guys have seen some really great things with organic social. Yeah. How could a brand approach, and what are the kind of rules or tactics that they need to follow in order to actually see success from organic?
I think that's really interesting. I think, yes, we're in the performance space. I think there's been a lot of noise in that space for quite a while because it's the pointy end. It's the bit that you can easily quantify. When you've got budget restrictions, the luxury of doing brand or doing organic, which isn't delivering a lead gen, a data capture moment, isn't driving to a behavior change or a CTA, actually that is too much of a luxury. So everyone's focused in on performance. That being said, performance has a limited view. It's, in a lot of instances, it's intent. So someone intends to buy a particular product or service, and therefore the performance team are making sure you're there, saying the right thing in the right place at the right time to be the one that captures that lead. So social organic has existed for a long time within the brand's control and with internal teams. And we're seeing clients actually reach out to go, can you support us with our social organic? It hasn't had, or it hasn't been seen to have, the same value as the performance as the paid, because there's some big money put behind paid. You want to make sure it delivers the results. Whereas social organic was the place to be a bit more playful, a bit more entertaining, a bit more risky, but also a bit lazier, a bit blasé, a bit, I can just put stuff out there. What's interesting is actually we've told brands to be personable, to be human. Well, that's great. The misinterpretation of that is actually, as a brand, show me your chill out room. I don't care. Show me the coffee you've got in your, I don't care. We sacrificed, in the attempt of trying to be human, we sacrificed relevance. So it's not relevant to me that your brand, the coffee you drink or the away day you had, I don't care. In recognizing that change and going, actually, our organic has a place and it needs to be a bit more controlled. It needs to be a bit more exciting. It needs to be relevant. It needs to be timely. It needs to inform, educate, or inspire. Yes, there's a personal element to it, a human aspect to it, but it's got to be a value.
I love that. I mean, that's essentially a lot of what we do at Street. It's about building that engaged audience before they're ready to buy. We always talk about being problem aware. So, but this is almost pre-problem aware sometimes. They don't even know that they have the problem. So you need to talk to them and make them problem aware. They go, oh yeah, I have that problem. That might be me. I don't know, looking for some kind of face cream that I don't realize that I need. But then, if I start to see content going, oh, I do need that. I need to, of course I need to look 10 years younger. But, it's got to, sometimes you're not aware of the problem that you have. Probably my aging skin is not a good example because I'm highly aware of that as I am getting older. But I think you've got to really think about the different stages in the journey and where organic can play in. I personally actually do think now, at every stage in the journey, organic can, basically that's all I'm a B2B, marketeer, sales person, mixture of both. And, organic helps us throughout. We don't really do much. Well, in fact, we do no paid for ourselves. For clients, sometimes we do a tiny bit, but most of the time it's very proactive, but based using kind of organic content of it, like creating this podcast. And actually showing up in these more human ways with the right relevant content, the things that are speaking to the needs of your audience or and sometimes it can be random. Like some content does really well that's just funny. But plays on something that or there's lots of different ways that you can
there's
create.
lots of, and that's the thing, there's not just the platform needs to be played. And the platform algorithms need to be played. And that is a skill in all its own right. The content needs to be right for your audience. It needs to be engaging. It needs to be thumb stopping, all the usual, But actually the platform, as very well know on LinkedIn, the way the algorithms, and they're potentially behind a lot of the bigger platforms, but they are gaining traction. I think what's interesting with that one for B2B, LinkedIn are slowly releasing features and functions that make it an authoritative platform. Social is where we go to waste time. LinkedIn is where we go to invest time. And I thought it was a really nice view or lens through actually the stuff they're doing with the content authors. It's bloody impossible to get the blue badge or whatever you get. You have to write solid content. They want long form blog articles on there. They've just introduced the videos, obviously, so it'd be interesting to see how that works. It is a place to go and learn, to understand, and it's the right place for B2B. And the organic at the moment is a great greenfield place to play with, where you go, step up your organic. Don't solely rely on performance to be shouting at someone and getting in someone's face at point of purchase. Get in before then and start to educate people.
I love that. I think, so what we're saying, if someone is listening to this, let's hope you guys are, and they're a brand potentially in the B2B space and they want to test doing something a bit different with organic, one, it's going to be cheaper, right? Because they're not going to have to put loads and loads of money behind paid campaigns. So for me, it seems like a bit of a no-brainer to just start to test content and see what lands, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we use organic as an evolution to paid.
Yeah.
So it's a really nice way of, because you don't know what's going to catch the mood at the moment or what creative. I wouldn't say it's A/B testing, but it's certainly going, okay, these are the messages, this is the creative, this is the attention-seeking part of it. Make it valuable, make it insightful, all the rest of it. Put it out there. If that one pulls like a train, move that one to paid.
Yeah.
Because that one's going to reach a bigger audience that are intent-based. But this is the place to make it all happen, and it lets you be a bit more playful with it.
Yeah, I love that. That's where we can be brave.
Yeah.
Right, I have to talk about this. I know everyone is talking about it all the time, but AI.
Yeah.
The technologies that can help us get further faster. When it comes to organic and paid, I guess, both. What are you guys seeing? What are you using? Good, bad, ugly? Tell me stuff.
It would be an endless conversation. I
know, yeah.
And by the time we've said something, it will have changed again. AI is moving at a velocity that is just beyond. And I think it's awesome. I mean, it will ultimately control the world and dominate our lives.
I know.
In various ways. There's a potential step change in evolution itself that will happen born from AI. But ignoring that for a second, AI in search is one of the most disruptive components, I think, at the moment coming for us. And we've already seen in Google, I'm a Google fan, but Bing is obviously doing the same. We've already seen in Google the AI results that are just appearing top, and they are trumping all the sponsors.
Yeah. It's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've literally went a month or two ago and it's just there. Yeah.
And okay, so there's horror stories of hallucinations of it. What was one of the ones? How do I make my pizza? Oh, I don't know. It was telling you to put glue on your pizza. I mean, there's going to be some wonderful hallucinations.
Wow.
But AI, they are overcoming this so fast. AI search results are becoming interesting. Will have a profound effect in any platform, whether it's Google or Bing, as the two dominants. In Google, when you search something, obviously it's read the entire internet and it's going to pull up what the results it thinks. So here's the answer to your very specific question. You don't need to read a ream of content. You don't need to go to a website.
Yeah.
You don't need to watch a video. It will pull the exact 3 seconds out of video that answers your questions and surface it. It will pull content from TikTok, which is great. It will pull content from Pinterest. What that's actually doing is assimilating it and collecting all the information you need about your search. I don't need to go anywhere else. This is a very different world. And, we build websites. Everyone that builds websites should start to think, hang on a minute, this is a world of 0 clicks. I never leave the Google page. I never leave my search results because everything is served to me in that environment. Why would I need to go elsewhere? I don't need to go and visit the B2B website where they put so much effort and content in because it's scraping that and pulling that in.
Yeah. And I'm lazy and I can't be asked.
Oh yeah. It's just all
we don't
served
need
to
go into the site and do the investigation. And that's, same when I'm doing research for, I don't know, presentations for clients, whatever it might be, is I don't even go to Google anymore. I go to Chat, GPT, and ask Chat to pull it and then also ask it to give me the image. And then, in fact, there's other AI tools now that then can put that into a presentation for me. And I can say there's one called Beautiful AI where you can kind of you can ask it to pull the images and design the slide for you using your brand guidelines. Mm-hmm. You don't need to leave the AI platforms or Google search.
And I obviously the dominance of GPT, because they were first to run, and I think is prolific in the deal with Apple, if that comes out, that they're here to stay. Google, I think, of its dominance in search is going to go so fast and hard into that market. And you do go, well, hang on, the end result of having a search page that actually delivers me all the results I need means I never need to visit a website. Fast forward 2 years, 5 years, why on earth would I ever build a website? What will I build? I'll probably build content designed for AI to consume it and then return it out in search results, or designed for people's personal AI assistants to do that. They had AI call a hairdresser's, book a hair appointment, confirm the time, put it in your diary. It did everything. So then you go beyond the search of actually if I'm searching for local hairdressers or I'm searching for my hairdressers, it will take the next 5 actions I need to do. I now don't need to do anything. And that's when you're stepping into AI, becoming a personal assistant. So websites are dead. That'll be a challenge and a step change for an entire industry. The downside, I think, beyond Terminator, end of the world.
Oh my God, I haven't even put that together, but yes.
But the downside is the echo chamber just gets so much tighter. And I think we've already seen it. There are walled gardens in countries, in geographies. But there are, based on our own search history, on our own proclivities, it will show me things that I believe or want to believe or I associate with. AI will get so much smarter at that I will begin to not see any content or not serve any content into that search space that ever questions my beliefs. And that potentially is a very scary situation, because I'm not going to go to a website and read two sides of the coin. I'm not going to get an inverse to my thoughts and what I believe. I'm just going to be served the small excerpt that absolutely agrees with everything I've said. And it will be delivered via AI, which is terrifying.
It is terrifying. There's a book you should read on that. Have you read Scary Smart by Mo Gaudet? I'm going to gift it to you. It is scary smart, yes, because AI is here to stay and it will overtake. So what we put in is very important in terms of, yes, how we shape our own futures. But what I'm super interested in is what that means for you guys, or for anyone, for brands, when they're looking at their go-to-market strategies, PPC, campaigns. What, if the world is changing that much, because it is, like you say, what does that mean when you have to when you're developing performance campaigns for your clients?
I think there's a short-term knee-jerk, which is use AI for as much as you can, and we should be more efficient because of it. I know there are challenges with copyright in some areas for AI, but AI for us is the most effective tool to take 3 steps forward fast instead of one. The idea of ideating, of fast craft content for headlines, for body copy, for how much information it can assimilate quickly on a very niche product or service or a very niche audience is phenomenal. The moment we're using it as a base, it never touches the world, but it gives you a hell of a head start. It won't touch the world yet. And I think for our clients in B2B, they'll probably be slower to accept that this content is good to go with just a glance over, So that's why for us at the moment, it's forming a baseline for, oh, that's fascinating. We've now learned so much about that industry or that audience that would have taken days of research, and we can now learn it in seconds. It then forms the basis of what's created, but it doesn't create it itself. I think that's the short-term space.
Yeah. Longer
term, it will influence and touch everything. I think platforms where we've put so much emphasis on platform expertise, actually, when you look at the likes of Meta already, the platform is doing it for you. It doesn't want you to narrow down target audiences. It doesn't want you to be specific. It wants you just give me what you've got and let me go and find the audience for you, because I can do it better than you. I can see all the data. I can see every interaction. I can see every touch point. I can go and deliver this to the right person. So don't try and mess with me. So in that regard, platform expertise actually becomes diminished, or it's less, which is, a very fast coming challenge for a lot of agencies to pivot and go, that's not where the value is. Now, okay, it might still be needed to manage overall, but it's not the value. The value comes back to the content. How do I create engaging, smart, intelligent, disruptive content?
Yeah. I mean, I remember going back to my RedWeb days, which is where I joined after you. We would, we knew kind of how to hack the system, how to get the content served. We knew what was going on with Google, with the updates. But it sounds like a lot of that is disappearing now. So like you say, it's got to be about the quality of the content.
For sure.
How on earth do you get noticed when you've got AI bots and tools finding the, crawling and finding the information in a very different way?
Yeah.
You've got to, like you say, it's got to almost be back to basics, create cool, differentiating, fun, human content that's going to help capture attention.
I love it. I think that's the bit that agencies have always, the agencies I've worked with have always wanted to be part of. That's the bit we add, the value, the flavor. The secret sauce is understanding human behavior, psychology, understanding how to augment or create or generate content that actually taps into that and creates a behavior change. It's the bit that's fun.
Yeah.
The fun bit, personally for me, and there are people out there that disagree, the platform has never been fun for me.
No.
The platform's a means to an end.
Yeah.
Now you need a skill to do it. That skill potentially diminishes. But actually then what replaces that is, the likes of TikTok. You create content that fundamentally changes the game. And they came lightning fast, fastest growing social network. They came left field and just changed the game for everyone. Yeah. Because it was content that led.
Yeah.
And that was a phenomenal step change, and probably about time, because it all become a bit formulaic up until that point.
Well, you're leading me to another very interesting question. Poor Lawrence, by the way, guys. We always write briefs for these, and I never, ever follow them. Because you're making me think about something else now, which is social search. I mean, for me, I know I bang on about this all the time, but I find everything that I want to buy in my personal life on social channels.
Yeah.
We've alluded to this earlier. Same when it comes to business. If you want and need knowledge, I go to LinkedIn. Don't go to Google anymore.
Yeah.
I used to go to like big McKinsey reports and other things. Don't even do that so much now. I go to either chat or I go to LinkedIn. So we know that the way people go to find their next partner, agency, beauty product to make you look 12, 15, 20 years younger. That's how I search for my products. I don't go to Google.
Yeah.
It's changing. So what does that mean for you guys?
It is, but in the same way that Google potentially will be the death of websites.
Social will be the death of Google.
Yeah. I think that's the one disappointment I have with AI, is that everyone will create their own AI. It was just the opportunity, and I don't want to get sanctimonious about it. We gave up our data. I'm fine with giving up my data. If you've got a fridge that knows what you eat, but it reorders the milk, sure, do it. I don't care.
Make life easy for me.
I drink Coke. If you want to serve me brand ads, sure, crack on.
Yeah.
My data, I'm fairly liberal with it because I've never seen the value in it in the way the next generation potentially does, smarter than me. But I do think that there was the opportunity in AI to go, no, I'll have my AI. Build an AI that's my AI and let my AI interface with everything else. Whereas actually what we're creating, and I know we're early days, AI is being built into so many tools, but it's not interoperable. So especially in B2B, we use Slack. Slack, put AI in. Eye-wateringly expensive. But it was great. But it doesn't work with Gemini, which doesn't work with, the AI in Float, which doesn't work with. So you've got all these separate AI components, which are capable of coordinating and sorting and moving, but unless someone straps them together,
builds all the links between.
Yeah.
And that's the same. We've done the same using Copilot. I was like, Copilot's going to solve my problems, but Copilot only works when you're on Teams. I can't record a call if I'm on a call on Zoom using the Copilot, so it only learns the Teams calls. Like it doesn't. So therefore, actually, we're better using something like Otter, which I can dial into any call on any platform. So like you say, there's a real kind of crossover here. I've got an interesting other question that I don't know if you're going to be able to answer, but I feel you're probably going to be the best person that could answer this for me. How the fuck does my phone know what to serve me? Even we're working with Eon Next at the moment. So we've been talking about Eon Next. Sky TV starts showing me Eon Next adverts. I talk about, I don't know, going on holiday and using Love Holidays to book my holiday, and then Love Holidays starts to advertise to me. A minute ago, we were talking about Airbnb before we went live. Airbnb will probably start to advertise to me.
Yes.
What have we you made me think about this when we were talking about data. Have I signed something with Apple or someone that isn't letting them listen to
when was the last
me?
time you read that terms and conditions or you
exactly. Forever. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know, I've never spoken to anyone that knows, but we all know that this is, that someone's listening.
Yes.
What the hell's going on?
So Carl will have a much better answer on the performance. My knowledge is probably slightly outdated, but even 5 years ago, and I know we've tightened up GDPR and all the rest of it. We've tried to make inroads on this. The things so my kids put apps on my phone, a lot of games apps on my phone. What they're doing, so the background tasks that you allow them to do, to use the microphone, to use the camera, they can run as background tasks. I'm not sure whether Apple closed the loop. I'm at the risk of talking outside of my knowledge. But certainly, yes, they're listening.
Yeah.
Yes, they're watching. Yes, they're detecting your hand motion, your movement. There was a thing that a finance company were looking at, a payment system company were looking at, which is you vibrate at a different frequency to me. So you could use your hand vibration as a payment method because it's totally unique to you. Apple Watches are recording absolutely. Now, Apple is a fairly closed loop system, but the apps you put on are giving data out constantly.
Yeah.
Even when you delete that app, I'm not saying on Apple, but there used to be rumors where you delete the app, but actually the data could still be transmitted to the origin and the source of the app to then be sold through that data. So yeah, for sure. Facebook, in Meta, yes. Everything you say, everything you do, whether it's open on, whether the camera's on, it's listening.
Yeah.
Which is unsurprising when they say actually as a platform, don't try and find your audience. We know what they're doing.
Yeah.
We know where they are.
Yeah.
We know what they're looking at. We know what they just talked about with friends and with a friend that had a dog. I mean, that was years ago. They were trawling through photos. And of course, you don't own any of the things that you put on there. You own none of your images that you put on Instagram or videos. They're all owned by the platform. They're now not yours. And they are mined for information. So how many times do you appear with a dog used to be the thing. There was that great campaign that was done with dog food. Because I know you own a dog, so I'll go and serve you dog ads. Of course, yeah. But how often do I hear a dog barking in the background when you get home? Does that mean you've got a dog?
Yeah, scary. I've got one of those because I love watching Netflix whilst I'm cooking. The recipe apps need to get better on it, but I've got an Echo,
Yes.
Alexa Echo Show
Yeah, the
or
screen
whatever it's
ones,
called
yeah.
with the screen. And I've only just realised that I need to turn the camera off because it's just watching me. Like I was like, yeah, it's probably watching everything I'm doing. Not that I'm doing anything weird, guys, in the kitchen. I promise it's all above board. But it is just a bit creepy knowing that it's constantly been videoing me for like years. And I really just realised, oh shit, I can flick that over.
Yeah.
And it worked because I never phone any through.
No.
I mean, I do announcements to the house
Yes,
to say
to
to my
demand
daughter,
dinner's ready and-
come down for
Yeah.
dinner now. But I don't ever use the video. So I was like, why have I got a
Yeah.
thing open? So I'm just going to close it. But it is mad.
Well, I mean, people did research where they'd measure the data output from it to see if it's sending back information. And they're like, no, it's fine. The problem is it's not possible for it to know so much about you without it listening and watching.
We've spoken a lot about AI, which bloody fascinates me. But what I want to know is how you're helping businesses overcome, I guess, the challenges that AI provides. One from, I'm assuming they need the right AI tools built into their, creative, but also how do they get surfaced? Because AI is changing how people search. So from a performance point of view, things are changing. So how are you guys helping brands to kind of overcome all of these challenges?
Yeah. So we're helping a number of clients in different ways. The way that probably is first come out is workshops for clients to actually understand the potential of AI right now, what tools are out there, what tools are worth using, and how they can leverage them safely. So we've done a number of workshops with clients, marketing teams and product teams to go, okay, this is the state of play. These are probably the day-to-day use tools that you can use, and this is where it can save you time and money. And there have been some phenomenal examples. We have an insurance client that has entirely rewritten thousands of documents with their new brand tone of voice, and AI did it for them. That would have been a huge undertaking, either for an agency or internal. So, someone's lost out there. But actually, it was done in days, not months, for a brand tone of voice change, which is, simple in idea, execution hard, but actually just got a lot easier. So it's phenomenal. The workshops are about, I suppose, inspiring what AI will do and where it goes. And that's from performance on how do your performance campaigns need to change, but also how does content creation need to change. There's a lot of pressure on marketing teams, as we know, even with purse strings loosening, to do more with less. They don't have enough staff, they have too many projects, and they don't have enough time, and they don't have enough budget for all of them. So how can you use AI to start relieving some of those pressures so that they can start to do more? We've run workshops where we talk about, your traditional model in performance of a lead magnet. So, okay, we've got one lead magnet for this audience, but you have 6 audiences. Now, traditionally, that one lead magnet would have to cover all audiences. Well, no, not now. We can use AI to augment it and actually go, we're going to talk not to 6 audiences, but 20. And the performance needs to probably catch up with that we can create hyper-personalized, hyper-relevant content and serve it. So your campaign needs to be smart enough to identify those audiences and go, this content is just for you. Don't make it generic, make it specific. So those are hugely exciting. There's probably a real-time, today, what can I do? Next month, what can I do? In a year's time, what should I be planning for? And that's hugely exciting.
I love that. I'm going to ask you another mean question because that's what I'm here to do. Favorite AI tool when it comes to those kind of things?
GPT.
Really, just chat.
Still. Yeah, it's a rubbish name. I wish they changed the name to Chat GPT.
Yeah.
But it's still, I suppose there are nuanced tools that are specific. Lots of platforms, lots of SaaS tech platforms have got AI built in that certainly enhance it. But actually for just an all-encompassing tool that will just cover so many bases. The recent update that lets you have memory through thread, through different conversations, I immediately trained my tone of voice. I gave it everything I've ever written. So now when I come to write something, I'm not saying AI writes my LinkedIn posts.
Yes.
but certainly to go, I want to talk about this. Go and find me information about it. I know this, but I'm missing this, this, and this. And I want to talk to this audience. Now give me something in my tone of voice. It's incredibly effective.
And it gets you, not all the way there sometimes, but 80, 90%. So it saves a lot of time. It really does.
All need to, I suppose, just slightly off topic of AI, because I will wax lyrical. And it is phenomenal. AI is a prodigal infant. It still doesn't understand. I did one of my presentations on AI to a client was like, AI can write a sonnet for a dog, write a haiku, write a poem, write a description. It can draw a picture. It can make a video. It doesn't know what a dog is. So whilst we're all very excited that AI, it still fundamentally doesn't understand dog. It has no concept of dog. It just knows everything that's ever been written, everything that's ever been created about dog. So it can emulate it. When we get to general intelligence of AI, then we're at the Terminator moment, and save it for then. But so it's phenomenally powerful. A bit like I would always align it to AI is a bit like Photoshop. I'm a creative person, but I think creatively, but I can't draw and I can't create. You could give me Photoshop and train me how to use it, every button and every tool in it. I could not design you anything. My brain doesn't work like that. AI is exactly the same. If you learn the skills, do prompt engineering, that's important for a while till it figures out. Learn how to use the tool, but still, if you're not a creative person, if you're not a creative writer, if you can't ideate in that way, it won't give you great results. It takes what you have or assimilates what it's got and throws it at you. So it's always a jump point at the moment.
Yeah. It's interesting where it's going to go, though. Blimey.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I could talk about this all day. It's a whole podcast, isn't it? So in fact, it's probably a whole series of podcasts. Right. Not totally off topic, but slightly different subject, and one we come up against a lot, and I'm sure you do as well. Compliance.
Yes.
So there's a lot of talk about being brave, being human, being different. Mm-hmm. We all know this. Anyone who's worked runs an agency, been in agency world, you come up with fantastic, creative, bold ideas, and the client fucking kills it. Sorry, guys. Sorry, brand leaders out there. But, and the idea and all the magic gets stripped away. So talk to me, how are you guys, especially in this more tech-dominated AI world, talk to me about compliance.
It's vital that you have a plan, that you have an approach when you're working in B2B with specific sectors on how to navigate compliance, because it's not easy. If you don't get it right, you won't stand a chance of being disruptive. We found 3 ways that are quite effective. The first is investing time in understanding the compliance structure, ecosystem. You've got DPO teams, you've got brand, you've got legal, compliance. What are the teams that are involved in actually decision-making on this is an idea that will work and this is an idea that we can't let out the building? You have to invest time, not just from a creative point of view. Your copywriter needs to know, your CS team need to know. Like, everyone should know who are these people, and you should have them on speed dial because you really need to build a relationship with them. They're not there to make a problem. They're there they're guarding the brand as they should do. And they're making sure that no one falls foul. And in a lot of instances, especially in FS, you want those people to make sure we're not missold when we shouldn't be. So they're not an enemy. You just need to understand them. The next thing is the why. So amount of times, no, you can't do that. And if you accept that, okay, well, we can't do that. That's great. Okay, we'll come up with another idea. You've missed the point. It's not what can't we do. It's why can't we do it? But why can't we do that? What did we say that was wrong? Why did that matter? And the more you understand the why, the more you can navigate, okay, so this idea never going to fly because we said those words, those collection of words in that specific sentence. So if we change it, how close can we get to disruptive? How far do we move from disruptive, and how close can we get to compliant in actually just augmenting this? Understanding the why makes all the difference. The final thing is the competition. Those compliance teams are probably approached by every person in marketing, every team. They are overstretched, overworked, and they don't have time to look outside often into the world of, well, who's doing what? So you look at the competition. What are they doing? And if you see something you think, how did they get away with that? Collect that evidence, bring it to the compliance team and go, okay, you didn't let us do this. We've just seen this competitor, this competitor, and this competitor, something similar. Why? Why were they allowed to get away with that? How close to that can we get? Either, push them But with the evidence, because then, oh, okay, so they did it that way. So that would be okay. Right, so that lets us be disruptive. Disruptive is absolutely right. Disruptive is sometimes exactly where you need to be. But if you don't have at least one or two of those ideas in play where you're working with them, you're never going to get something through the building. You will just get shut down every time.
Yeah, well, especially in those kind of industries like FS. I love, this is disruption, but at its most basic level. We've got a lovely pink background, so guess who I'm going to talk about? Klarna. Subtly disruptive in a way that's allowed because it was just pink rather than blue.
Yeah.
It was game changing. Yeah, absolute game changer, and made other banks and businesses be like, oh yeah, we can actually be different.
Oh God, when you look at, Revolut, Monzo, Starling Bank, phenomenal.
Yeah.
The stuff they're doing in social, the stuff they're doing, their advertising, it's so far ahead of an industry that hasn't had to really show itself in that way. Suddenly the step change is required. You've got a huge ecosystem and environment that is designed to say no and say, no, we can't do that. No, that's too scary. No, what if we got it wrong? The fear is huge. The startups didn't have that infrastructure. Now, their maturity as they mature, actually it's things they're having to put in place. You suddenly are having to worry about, okay, how do we put the checks and balances in place that make sure we don't make a misstep? We didn't have to worry about this, now we do. So they're actually having to adopt similar processes and practices, but they have started in a place which is, yes, we want to, not no, we can't.
Yeah.
So it's kind of an easier place to get to, which is exciting. They are doing phenomenal things, but the other brands are catching up.
Yeah, totally. It's constantly changing.
Yeah.
It's constantly changing. Lawrence, thank you so much. We've covered everything from AI, innovation, compliance. I don't think there's anything
all the
we
hot
haven't.
topics.
Yeah, but it's all super interesting. I could talk to you for so much longer. A big thank you for coming on the podcast. Guys, if you want to check out Bright Blue Day, I will make sure links to Lawrence's LinkedIn profile, to Bright Blue Day, and everything that you need is in the show notes. So go check them out. They do some awesome work for some awesome brands like Visa. And fingers crossed, if you enjoyed today's episode, you'll be back to listen again soon. And I won't see you, but you'll see me. Bye, guys.